What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Today, we're talking about some wide receivers that are seeing their value go way up thanks to the draft and free agency. First up, we have Zay Flowers. The Ravens did draft a wide receiver, but they only spent a mid-4th rounder on Devontae Walker or Tez Walker. Walker, is really just a deep threat, and I think that's a valuable role on the Ravens, although they have a lot of deep threats on the team. But it's a valuable role the Ravens want to have on their offense. They want to improve in that area. And so from like a real life football perspective, good pick. In fantasy, I don't know, Devontae Walker does not play the same role as Zay Flowers. He's going to fill that deep role. He's going to kind of rotate with Bateman, with Aguilar, if they're still keeping Aguilar. I believe they gave him a small contract. But point is, Aguilar, Bateman, Devontae Walker, they're going to all kind of fill that role. But aside from those three, there's such little talent in this wide receiver room that Flowers should really build off his rookie season. He's got a really locked in floor. He is going to be the most targeted wide receiver on a per game basis this season. So I understand people's concerns about Andrews, right? Because Andrews was injured last season, or for a chunk of last season. And obviously that benefits Flowers when someone's off the field like that. But I think people kind of overstate the impact it really had. Flowers averaged 0.4 more receptions for 9 more yards with Andrews out. So yeah, it benefited him, but it wasn't like he had an extra 3 or 4 catches every game for 40 yards. It was less than half a reception for less than 10 yards as a difference. I really think Flowers is a great wide receiver. He fits this offense really nicely. He's going to have a ton of targets, especially in full PPR leagues. He's going to be a really, really strong pick this season. And I guess just the confidence we have in them not going after anyone in the free agency or in free agency or the draft to really compete with Flowers as that one speaks to their level of confidence. And so stock up for him. Another winner is George Pickens. The Steelers no longer have Deontay Johnson or Allen Robinson. So that's 136 targets last season. In prior years for just Deontay Johnson, it was closer to 150. Pre-draft, they did add, Van Jefferson, Quez Watkins, Denzel Mims. During the draft, they added Roman Wilson in the mid to late 3rd round. That's not much, right? That's not really any competition for George Pickens. Now, I know Arthur Smith, our arch nemesis, is now the offensive coordinator. That's going to make you want to throw up. But how much of an impact? So it's bad, right? Obviously, that means they're going to be run heavy. That means they're going to be a bad offense. But how bad can it be knowing that it's really bad for the wide receiver core behind George Pickens? Van, Quez, Denzel, they have never commanded targets in the NFL. Roman Wilson is a slot-only receiver. Pickens is just locked in to a really strong target share. And so I know he takes a hard hit with Arthur Smith being the offensive coordinator, but they truly have no one else to throw to. And so he's a big winner in that sense at the very least. He was a loser when we knew that offensive coordinator was going to be Arthur Smith, but them losing Deontay Johnson, losing Allen Robinson, doing very little to replace that, he's so locked in that his ADP of the wide receiver 28 isn't some massive steal, but it is absolutely fair, absolutely something that I would take advantage of. Another big-time winner is Jameson Williams. I definitely thought that the Lions would draft a wide receiver, but they went with defense. They went with offensive line. That leaves Khalif Raymond, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Traquan Smith behind, of course, Amon St. Brown and Jameson Williams. We'll see if that holds throughout the summer. I still am skeptical that it will. But if it does, then, Williams is going to be on the field pretty much every snap as their wide receiver too. And of course, he's going to have incredible upside. Now, the offense still flows through St. Brown, the running backs, Laporta. Williams is going to be after that. So it's not like he's the number 2 option on the offense, and he's never going to be their wide receiver 1. But we know that he has a very, very high weekly ceiling. He's the perfect player to throw into that flex spot, knowing that you're taking a little bit of risk, that the floor is a little bit lower. But if he's out there, 80% of snaps as their second wide receiver, he's going to have a lot of very high ceiling weeks, a lot of weeks where he hits that, 100 and a touchdown, 150 and 2. That's something he's capable of, where many players are just not capable of that. And so putting that in your flex spot gives you a lot of upside, which we really want in fantasy. This will also be, the first offseason where he's not suspended or coming off a major injury. So he's actually going to be able to play if he doesn't get hurt again. He's going to be able to play in the first month of the season. He's going to have that summer to really develop and that chemistry. And so I really think that his progress, if we think about how highly rated a prospect he was, how early they took him, how invested they are in him, they clearly recognize the talent. But I think his progress has been slowed a lot because of the suspension, because of the injury he had, going into his rookie season. Then he had another injury during his rookie season, injury, suspension. It's just been a theme with Williams. He's never just been healthy for a big stretch. And so I think that has, stunted his potential or his progression in the NFL. But we need to remember how much they do like him, how much potential he does have. And overall, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that if Dan Campbell's excited, I'm excited. If Dan Campbell has confidence in Jameson Williams, I have confidence in Jameson Williams. And to me, them not bringing in another wide receiver in the draft, in free agency, to really compete for that wide receiver 2 role, to me signals his confidence, which means we should be confident. Another winner after the draft is a polarizing one, Keon Coleman. Now, the fact that he's a winner is not polarizing. Everyone's going to agree that landing on Buffalo with the first pick in round 2, that's going to benefit you. That's going to increase your value. Your value skyrockets. That's why you're in this video. That's obvious. I think where people are going to debate is he good? Is he actually going to be a good NFL wide receiver? I don't know. I'm skeptical. As many of you know, I've been a little bit, I don't want to say a hater, but I've been down on him thus far in the offseason because he's not just the type of prospect I like. I like good route runners. I like people who create separation on their own, because if you're not getting scheme to looks, when you're in a 2-minute drill and we're really just out there seeing, can you get open? I'm not scheming you a specific play to get open. Can you get open on your own? That's what separates the good fantasy players from the great ones. And I was hoping that they would draft someone that could be a great fantasy player, that could create on their own, to where you'll scheme them open and Josh Allen will, when they're not open, still get them the football. But then if they're also getting open on their own, well, that's why Stephon Diggs was so good in Buffalo, because he was able to do that. I don't like that a lot of Coleman's production came on contested catches, came on screen passes. I don't like that he was awful against man coverage, against press coverage. He was fine against zone, but nothing special. And that would all be okay if he was just a big slot receiver, right? If you just threw him into the slot and you're like, listen, you're okay against zone, get open against zone, we'll scheme you some looks. That can work, right? But who do they have? They have Curtis Samuel and they have Khalil Shakir. He's not playing in the slot. He's going to be their X receiver, and that's not what I think he is. So I don't love it. I recognize that Diggs and Gabe Davis free up 241 targets, which is a lot. I recognize that the potential is here for someone to have an awesome season in Buffalo. To me, wait a little bit, take a shot on Curtis Samuel, take a shot on Shakir, go earlier, take your tight end, take Dalton Kincaid, take James Cook. I don't know. If you really want to capitalize on all those targets being gone, all that opportunity being there, I think it's the other players. For me, I think Coleman's going to get hyped too much. Not the player I want to go for. Moving into the later rounds, Odell has been skyrocketing in value, of course, after signing with the Dolphins. Honestly, I'm not buying it. No player has seen their ADP rise more than Odell the last week, though. So, since Best Ball Mania opened, no player has seen their ADP rise more than Odell Beckham Jr. So he has to make this list, right? People are excited that he's on the Dolphins. But he's still going the exact same spot as Malik Washington. I would rather have Washington. Odell hasn't topped 600 yards in a season since before the pandemic. His contract's only $3 million. That's less than KJ Osborne got in New England. So I had to mention him, right? Because obviously it's a good landing spot. When you land on the Miami Dolphins, it's a great landing spot. You've got potential. I don't see it with Odell. I'm not going to be drafting him. Final name I want to talk about is an interesting one, and that's Jalen McMillan. Godwin, we got word from the wide receiver coach of the Bucs. Godwin's moving back into the slot this season in 3 wide receiver sets. Don't freak out about that if you have let's say Godwin in Dynasty, if you did a really early draft for best ball or something. Don't freak out about that being really bad for Godwin, being like, oh no, he's only playing the slot. No, in 2 wide receiver sets, it is Evans and it is Godwin. That is still going to be the case. In 3 wide receiver sets, though, they're switching back to putting Godwin always in the slot there because, and this is the important part, because they've talked about how McMillan can play 3 different positions at wide receiver. They can move him around the formation, and he can win on the outside. Now, he does profile as more of a slot wide receiver. So to me, the excitement is, okay, if they feel good about this right now and saying that they're going to use McMillan on the outside, that they're pumped to have even gotten him in round 3 in such a good wide receiver class, they're clearly very high on him. And there's absolutely potential there, right? And they also talked about how something that I've thought about this offseason, they were happy to get him in round 3 because had he not gotten injured last season, there's no way he would have gone in round 3. That's what they're saying. And I kind of agree with that. My model is not in love with him. It basically thinks it was appropriate where they got him. But that's the flaw sometimes with these analytical models when people get hurt, because the model's basically being well, he didn't have a true amazing season, true breakout season. He had a really good year 2 years ago, and then of course he gets injured last year, so we don't know. And it's yeah, but it's at least we should understand that it's possible. He could have had a really, really good season last year. In 2022, he had 4 more receptions and 2 more touchdowns than Rome Odunze, who of course goes 6th overall and is a mid-round pick already in fantasy. So he outproduces Odunze 2 years ago. Then last year, he starts the season 8 for 95 and 2 touchdowns, 8 for 120 and a touchdown, 4 for 96, gets injured, misses some time, comes back late in the season, obviously not 100%. I mean, think about it. Imagine a scenario where he doesn't get injured, where he has, a great season last year as he was trending to do, and he goes in the early round 2 to the Bucs. Let's say he still lands on the Bucs. And then we get this news that Godwin's going to be a full-time slot receiver, that they're going to want to get McMillan on the field. He would not be going in round 20 where he's going right now. So I'm not saying he's a lock to break out, but right now he's probably my favorite sleeper, my favorite pick in round 20. Again, the way that they're already talking about him, I think he's easily past Trey Palmer. I think he's easily past that on depth chart. Going to get a ton of opportunity early in the season. And I really think he might be a very, very good player and he capitalized on that. So if you want to take advantage of that, you want to draft him late on Underdog, I'm absolutely doing that right now. If you haven't signed up yet for Underdog, use promo code FFA. You're going to get your deposit matched up to $250. You're going to get a special pick'em in the lobby. You're going to get access to my Underdog rankings for the rest of the season for free. So again, if you want to take advantage of some of these ADPs, promo code FFA on Underdog. So if you watched this far, be sure to hit the like button. If you're new here, want to hit subscribe button as well. We'll be back tomorrow with 7 players you'll regret drafting, and then Monday for, of course, another mock draft Monday. That, my friends, is in this one. Hope you all enjoy. If you did, how about hitting the like button and how about subscribing to the channel if you're new here? Thanks for watching.